Hello there, welcome to Breakfast Club. Good morning. It's another fantasy football day, of course. We've got a deadline in just 15 minutes, and I'm joined by Az and David, as always, to talk over the dilemmas that we face in those 15 minutes as the countdown gets toward deadline. Az, thanks for joining us. 1 point ahead of me. Are you willing to give anyone any secrets? I mean, we're going to bring up your team now and have a look, but yeah, 1 point in it. It's very, very close. I've had a couple of good game weeks.
I know. I was miles ahead of you, and now suddenly you've caught up again. I don't like that. I like having a little cushion. Yeah, maybe I'll try and feed you some bad advice.
Well, we're looking at your team here. You've got the five in midfield now. The big problem you've got obviously is the Liverpool-Chelsea clash, or Chelsea-Liverpool rather. Salah, Mane, and Alonso in that. How are you feeling about that? Because obviously going in with the two Liverpool attackers, are you expecting? I mean, obviously you're hoping goals, but are you really expecting it?
Yeah, I'm not too happy with Mane at the moment. He's looked a bit off it the last few games, and I was pretty confident about a Liverpool winning this one. So I had Alonso benched for a while, but the news about Van Dijk makes me a bit worried. Is he going to play? He's kind of 50-50.
Yeah.
Bit nervous about that. I don't know. I don't know anymore. I'm just gonna go into the match and see what happens. But
so you've gone Robertson on the bench. I mean, it's
yeah.
going to be an awful one to watch here because similarly, when you look at my team, I've gone Trent on the bench, and it's just going to be horrible. But we know they're good players. We know they can get forward, and it's obviously dangerous. But you definitely was there any choice between Alonso?
Mendy. I've got Mendy, haven't I?
Yeah.
So he's probably not going to play. So Robertson will probably come in. But yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so you got the auto sub kicking in. Okay.
Yeah,
so
I was tempted to take Mendy out for someone. There's a few players I was looking. Trippier, looks good on the set pieces with Eriksen out. Laporte I was looking at as well because he's playing kind of every minute and he's a bit cheaper. Just don't like making a defender transfer for a -4 because I've already taken Pickford out. So just going to stick with what I got and hope for the best.
Yeah, I mean, you've got the double Wolves defence. Now, I look at my team in a minute. I've gone that as well. Are you happy about that? I mean, Southampton at home looks a good fixture. The stats are incredible for them, aren't they, defensively?
I'm pretty happy. I mean, I'm kind of looking at it as I've got Patricio for potential clean sheets, and I've got Johnny in for hopefully some attacking returns. The next 4 games just look great. Yeah. Southampton at home, Palace away, Watford at home, Brighton away. I reckon there's two clean sheets out of those, and hopefully some attacking points from Johnny, who's no one's really got him. I think I'm the only person in the world who's got Johnny and hasn't got Doherty. So
yeah,
hoping he delivers.
No, he could be a massive differential forward. Certainly getting forward. Now the captaincy is on Aguero, but the vice is on Richarlison, and that's really interesting because I was debating that, and in my head I'm still kind of like, oh, could I just be Maverick and go with Richarlison? Because of course the talk is he could be up front with Bernardo and Walcott either side. I mean, how do you see that going?
I've had it on Aguero all week. Never even considered changing it, and then woke up this morning, and I was like, oh, actually, Richarlison.
I know.
it's quite tempting, isn't it? Everyone's going to go for Aguero. Got the Champions League next week. Could get 60 minutes. Brighton aren't doing too bad. They haven't been thumped yet. And Richarlison against Fulham, he's definitely going to score in that game.
Don't say that because I'm just thinking.
I know.
Like everyone's saying this morning, an Aguero blank looks unlikely, whereas Richarlison could. But I just think like if he's playing on the left, he's up against Fosu Mensah, who looked absolutely terrible against Watford and was lucky to stay on the pitch. And if he's playing down the middle, he's playing down the middle against a pair of centre backs that's always changing. And
I think Mawson's out as well, and he's their best one. It is really tempting.
It is like 11 minutes to go. I've got it open here, and I'm like, oh, could I?
And I've seen a few people on the site as well, who are doing it, and everyone that's replying to it is like, oh, wow, you're so brave. It's just such a good move. Everyone knows it's like, potentially a really good move, but no one's really got the bottle to do it. And it's tempting. But
so you're sticking with Aguero. I mean, that's fair enough as well. Just to have a look at my team, and it's a similar story. I haven't got the two Liverpool midfielders. I've only got Salah in there. So I've got Hazard. He's got to be the player you fear, hasn't he? Surely.
Every week I'm going into the games a bit worried. Last week was particularly bad when he played West Ham. This week I'm a little bit less worried because I can't see him going absolutely berserk. He might get a goal and a couple of bonus, but I can't see him getting 2 or 3. I'll say that now. Probably will now.
He scored quite a useful goal in midweek against that Liverpool defence.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. Was it? He won't be playing Moreno though, at least.
No,
so.
that's very true. But what an outstanding goal! So I've spent 4
incredible.
points. I have got Mendy out, and I went for Doherty. The reason why, I've made 2 long-term transfers. Really, I just see Richarlison as he's a player you've got to have. This is before there's even a chance of him going up front. But if he's going to do that, then arguably he's going to be. There's an argument to say he's better on the left than he would be up front, but we'll have to see. But I think Richarlison is a keeper for me for the season, and that was always going to be the ploy to get Walcott out. And Walcott certainly...
Price, isn't it? 6 for such an
outstanding.
attacking...
And Walcott helped that decision by being absolutely useless for the 2 games I had him, predictably. Some would have predicted that, not Jolo. I got Richarlison back in, and I went for Doherty because I looked 4.4. He's gone up overnight, but I just think he's been outstanding. Like his stats are up there with Alonso in terms of attacking potential. So I just looked at it and thought, well, Wolves, home to Southampton, I'll double up on them because I think that's a good fixture. And I don't mind spending 4 on a defender if it's someone with attacking potential, and that's how I see Doherty. So you're hoping Johnny's going to win out over Doherty, I guess.
Yeah, I can't say I'm too confident. I had a look at Doherty's heat map.
It's good, isn't it? It's pretty good.
Unbelievable how
he loves getting forward, doesn't he?
Oh, it's crazy. But I think a lot of people are buying Doherty off the back of that. The game he got. He assist,
got the assist, yeah.
Got the assist and got 3 bonus. Yeah, and so kind of everyone jumped at that. But actually, Johnny in that game, he had a shot cleared off the line. He had had a block shot as well when he created some chances. And I don't think there's that much in it between them. I think Johnny does a bit better on the bonus points as well. So I think with everyone going for Doherty, I do think if you're looking for someone a bit different, then Johnny is quite a good pick.
You say everyone, he's not like massively owned, is he? It's still about 3%. I think.
Every team I see now with it has got him in.
Every wild card's getting him in. I think it's fair enough. I'm going to keep Bennett for now, but the idea is I've got 2 million in the bank, so I can try and make that move back to Mendy if I want, and then I'll keep Doherty. But for the Southampton home game, I'm happy with that. The Richarlison captain, I'm so close to doing it. And I know there's people out there screaming, do it, because I've got the Hazard captaincy and it's got me back in the game. But I think it's too early. I just need to consolidate. And
it's just such a shame it's not next week, because next week it's such a hard captaincy choice anyway. And
But that Fulham defence, they're rubbish.
I know, don't, David, stop it. Right, because
I'm just going to poke you now.
There's like 8 minutes to go, and there's people watching this, and let's look at your team. Let's take your mind off that and look at your team. You've got Mitrovic in this game. You haven't got any Everton cover though. You're worried about Richarlison going mad.
Yeah, no, I know. That's come back to bite me. I've tried to poke you about the Fulham defence, and no Everton. Yeah, on my wild card, I was torn between David Silva and Richarlison, and I went with David Silva because I thought I'd go down the dullard approach. There's no Joe on this episode, so I can fill in that respect.
Yeah.
And I don't want to make any transfers this week. I want to try and roll and
see that to me is like probably the hardest decision I think for people this week is what do you do with David Silva, because he played in the cup, didn't he? He didn't play last week, and the switch to Richarlison is so easy. I think if you're going to do it, you do it this week because
exactly.
Yeah, how close were you to doing it? Surely, David, you must have been on the. He went up last night, didn't he?
Yeah. If I was going to do it, it would be last night, and the price rises just made me think. Well, I think it's just a case of like if I switch from David Silva to Richarlison, I feel like they could probably get the same score this week, and if they do, then what was the point? I do think that David Silva will play, and the home fixture against Brighton, the sensible voice at the back of my head was saying, why would you transfer out someone you think is going to start against a team like Brighton at home and it's Man City? Because the thing is, I don't want to follow you get a lot of people who sometimes kind of follow the rotation, and it's like someone starts, so you go for them over the guy that got benched, and then the guy you sold then starts and then does well, and the guy you signed doesn't start and doesn't play or comes on for 1 point. So I just think play it safe, and then then maybe
I sold Gundogan, didn't I?
Well, exactly, yeah. So classic example. It happened with me last week. I sold Bernardo Silva and for David Silva, and then
he's benched.
The thing is, I was just determined that once I got Aguero, I'm just leaving the City midfield alone, and they're going to take it in turns. I am tempted to do Aguero out and get Sterling in long term, but the jury's still out on that.
I've thought about that.
Completely contradicting your.
I know, but I want to get rid of Aguero because I want to get Arnautovic back in, and he's going to be playing today. I would have thought when we see the team news in a bit. And Arnautovic I love, and I like Mitrovic and Wilson as well. So I'm looking at those 3 as a really good strike force. But then I'd have to cover City. And you mentioned Silva and Gundogan. Sterling's the only one who would get close, really, I think.
Yeah, he's only missed one game so far, I think. So because we all thought it's kind of a bit like last season. Like we thought he was gonna get rotated a lot, and that thought prevailed probably longer than it was true. And then eventually, once everyone caught on to the fact that he was playing most weeks, that's when we realised he's worth having. It's just, I think that's happened again. You know, like he's only missed one game, so he's not really a rotation. It's where you fit him in, isn't it? Like you can't really put him in the so-called template because everyone's got Aguero. But I was hoping Aguero. I was really hoping Aguero was going to be announced like, oh, he's out for 3. This knock he's had that's been niggling at him. Yeah. He's going to be out for 3 or 4 weeks, because then it kind of opens the door, doesn't it, to get Sterling in, and then that would mean I think I worked out I could probably get Kane in as well if I wanted, if I'd moved a bit about with depending on what transfer I did. So like that would have been great, but you know you can't really get rid of Aguero this week if you think he's going to play. Big problem with City though is them losing that first group game of the Champions League, because that just gives them so much extra pressure to.
And this is why I think Aguero will only get an hour, won't he? I mean, depending on how the result is going. The thing that swayed me as well is Stevens is out for Brighton, isn't he? And that's a problem. I mean, you're a Brighton fan. How much of a loss is that going to be? Yeah, it's not good. KL is decent. He kind of. He's not as good as Stevens in the role he does, but he is a decent replacement. So I don't think it's a case of. He's not played a lot, there, has he? No, he's been injured for a while. He's been like the forgotten man at Brighton. Yeah. It's I think Bissouma's good because he adds a bit of kind of energy and strength to the midfield anyway. So good on free kicks as well, actually, Bissouma. Yeah, and I think he might even keep Gross out of the team even when Gross is back, which is a shame. What? Really? Yeah, maybe. Well, because he against Liverpool. He's been managing. He played Bissouma over Gross, and Gross was fit. I don't know. I don't really know what's going to happen. I mean, Knockaert's the player who I want from Brighton. If you're looking at a Brighton player, and their fixtures do improve. I mean, I was hoping Ryan was going to go down overnight because I'm looking at him as a possible backup keeper for Hennessy because I think that Brighton's fixtures look good. But I mean, when I saw Stevens was out, that kind of just locked in Aguero as captain. I was probably 50-50 going with Charleston Gamble, but when I saw Stevens is out, I kind of expect 2 or 3 goals. I mean, they did well at Anfield, Brighton, but do you see it a 2 or 3 goal win for City? Yeah, probably. It's hard to see anything else. I don't think it's going to be embarrassing, but I think it'll be a comfortable win. I think. Yeah. We just haven't got the quality. Yeah. I'm not expecting a big score from Aguero, but I think it's safe to go with him and. Richarlison, if he does get moved to the striker's role, it's exciting, but we haven't seen him play that position, so we shouldn't automatically think, well, that's more points, because I actually think out on the left against Fosse Mensah, he would have a field day. So we'll see what the Everton team sheet gives us. I mean, trouble is Everton just aren't really that good, are they? No, there's that as well. The second half, like first half against Arsenal, I thought, this is it's a fairly decent game. Charlaton's getting some goal attempts off and looking quite decent. The second half, they offered nothing really. They seem to take a bit of a hit when they concede, that could easily happen. Like Mitrovic. I mean, if we're talking about how bad the Fulham defense is, Everton defense is equally atrocious, and Mitrovic is he'll have a good game as well. If Mitrovic scores in the first 20 minutes, it's a totally different game. So I tell you what, I'm still close. What is there? 2 minutes to go. I'm seeing some of the comments coming in on the stream, and I'm like, I really do want to do it as well. Come on, think of the views in the last minute. I do want to do it. But I can't. Oh dear, it's just so close. It really is. I just feel like I've had 2 very good game weeks, and I could potentially it could just blow up on my face. But I'm going to be interested to see what Joe does with his team. He's at a wedding today, couldn't make it, but he hasn't got Richarlison either, and he's got Fraser in there, Maddison, so he's got a good midfield. So it's whether or not he finds a place for Richarlison. He's going to be worried about him, just as you are, David, about. And Andy as well. He's talking about 4-point hits for getting Kane in and all that kind of stuff. See what he does. I'm really intrigued by that. I don't. I mean, a 4-point hit for Kane is difficult, isn't it? Given the form that Kane is showing. And what do you make of Spurs' injuries as well? I mean, it's like that without Eriksen and Ali, we've got to think there's going to be problem. They may struggle to break them down. And I think they haven't kept a clean sheet this year either. So Trippier was the obvious route to go down as my Mendy replacement. But I actually think Huddersfield could score on those set pieces. Oh yeah, I think the Huddersfield have just bust a lot of coupons so far. I mean, they scored against Man City. They scored against Everton when everyone sort of backed Walcott, and then that game just kind of went in the opposite direction. Leicester as well last week. Yeah. So, I mean, they haven't scored from open play, so I mean, I think they could get a clean sheet. But yeah, I mean, those injuries they concern me. I was thinking about maybe Mora because you're right. 4-point hit for Kane doesn't really, because especially if Salah's going to be a full guy and he's in better form
underlying numbers wise. So it's just not worth it. So more is one to look at. But yeah, without Eriksen and Ali, it just kind of feels very B team like. If you've got Lamela and Son, Son's got to be exhausted, right? I mean, a lot of people are jumping straight on Son, but really, what kind of physical condition is he going to be in? Because he's had the World Cup, and then they weren't in it for very long, admittedly, but then he came back, and then he's gone off to the Asian Games, and basically played out of his.
Oh, we lost.
So that he doesn't have to go join you. Like he could do with a break, and he's not getting one. So
yeah, I think Spurs are a no-go at the moment until they start until Kane is showing the kind of form that we know, and it we're used to waiting until September, but it looks like we might have to wait until October, November. The teams are out, David. Let's have a look at look at the West Ham team. He's back, and Arnautovic is back now. That's a big thing for them because they're a totally different side with him there. So it's Fabianski, Zabaleta, Balbuena, Diop, Masuaku at left back, Rice, Aubameyang, Noble, Yarmolenko, Anderson, and Arnautovic. You want to talk us through that, David? I mean, how'd you see that? That's as expected, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Arnautovic, that makes a big difference, doesn't it? As you say, I mean, Antonio, I think, is obviously back down onto the bench now. Yeah. So I thought he was unfortunate not to score last week, to be honest, against Chelsea. He had that opportunity that was saved. But yeah, I mean, it's nice to see Yarmolenko, I guess, for West Ham fans. I mean, I think he seems like it'd be quite exciting. It's just
his miss though against
Chelsea. Yeah. I mean, he plays like a player who could score, but yeah, that miss. But it's just nice to see him get a bit of a run in the team. I was surprised he didn't start so many games at the start of the season. So yeah, and then Anderson as well has looked quite exciting as well.
He has, but he's not going to be an FBL asset, is he? While Arnautovic is about, this is the thing. And Arnautovic basically kills off any other option in that West Ham team.
But I mean, having those people behind Arnautovic, I think is to his benefit. So I mean, just seeing them in the team, that front three is kind of what I would like to see. If you're thinking that Arnautovic is going to be one to go for, I'd rather that you're going to see Yarmolenko and Anderson getting regular game time than sort of Snodgrass and maybe Antonio dipping in and out. I think that's, for me, that's what I want to see from West Ham. I mean, the fixtures are horrible, but when they perk up a little bit.
Well, they are for the next 2 or 3, but they do perk up. There's no doubt about it. And I think, we're looking at Arnautovic. He is great value for his price. And, I think I want to get him back in, but it would mean getting rid of one of Wilson and Mitrovic, which I don't think I want to do. Wilson maybe, but I fancy him against Palace this week. I think that eventually I want to gamble on getting rid of Aguero and go a City midfielder and just hope that Sterling is consistent starter. That could be the way I go and see what I can do with the 2 million. I mean, Az, what do you think about Arnautovic? Just while I look up the Man United team, what do you think of Arnautovic long term over the season? Obviously not for now because of the fixtures, but what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that West Ham are hitting some kind of form. They're just playing better. I mean, the 3 in midfield, I think, gives them a really solid base. And I did wonder, how Noble can keep playing because he never seems particularly good to me. But I think he works quite well in that 3 because he's not relied on to actually do that much kind of clever, intelligent stuff. He just kind of mops up and runs around like a bit of a lunatic, and he's really good at that. And I thought they were brilliant against Chelsea last week. So, I think this is a good time for them to start hitting a bit of form, so we can kind of assess them in defence as well. I like the look of Balbuena and Fabianski and players like that. So I think it's game week 12 where their fixtures start improving.
Yeah,
so I'm
absolutely.
looking at
there's a swing, isn't there? And I think Arnautovic he's just central to everything that they do. And I look at my team and the way it's set up, I've got in terms of goal involvement, I've got the key players: Salah, Hazard, Richarlison, Maddison. I think for Leicester has emerged as their key player. Mitrovic, Wilson, Aguero. These players are all 7 different teams covered, 7 really good attacking players, and if Arnautovic is in that bracket as well, he's a talisman. We've talked about it.
Penalties now, isn't he as well?
Yeah, and he's got those off Noble. Yeah, so I want him back. It's just getting him back. Okay, the United team's up here, David. So we've got young captain Martial. Pogba plays as predicted, as Marino stated. So it's De Gea, Young, Smalling, Lindelof, Shaw, Fellaini, Matic, McTominay in, Pogba, Martial, Lukaku. What do you make of that, Dave?
Yeah, it's I mean, McTominay starting is interesting. I mean, I'm glad that Pogba's still there because I think if we're talking about penalty takers, having him there as a penalty taker is a good one, and also Martial starting as well. I mean, I know that we all looked at him at the start of the season, and then it kind of all went a bit pear-shaped because he shockingly took paternity leave. How dare he? So I mean, I'm glad that he's getting back in the team because he's always an exciting option as a midfielder and at a slightly cheaper price. But yeah, and obviously Young's playing at right back, which obviously means that Shaw starts. We've had a lot of questions in the last sort of week or so if Shaw's going to keep his place. I think I would still argue the best defensive option at Man United if you want to cover their defence. So I'm glad that Shaw's still able to get some game time.
Yeah, I didn't get on the Shaw early bandwagon. I kind of regret it because he did well in game week 1, but I haven't had a Manchester United player all season yet. And I was thinking this morning, am I ever going to have one this season? I mean, well, I don't see it unless Lukaku and Pogba really kind of excel beyond the competition. But I think that's going to be tough. I mean, what are you feeling about Man United this season? Do you ever see you dropping in for a couple of their players?
I mean, Pogba looked quite good at the start of the season, didn't he? He took the penalty and, had the really good World Cup and looked to kind of be freed of it. But all the stuff with Mourinho that's going on at the moment worries me with that. As soon as Mourinho kind of falls out with a player, that normally kills them off as an option. I mean, you're really expecting Pogba to take control of that midfield today, up against Noble and Rice and, those three. So it'd be interesting to see how United doing that. Shaw would be the player that I'd potentially be looking at.
Yeah.
Because he's got Mourinho's arm around him now, and that tends to be quite a good omen. But I'm just something about United at the moment just seems such a disaster zone in terms of confidence and results and management. I'm avoiding until something changes there.
Yeah, and they've had injuries, of course, as well. No Sanchez today in the lineup. Yeah. I mean, I just don't see it. I don't see them. They may even struggle to get top 4, which seems unthinkable. But they're certainly going to struggle to get into my fantasy lineup. I think it's just not. It's just nothing there. I mean, it's just their attacking potential, and it's going to be about the defence, and it will be Shaw who tempts us. But at the moment, we've seen Liverpool, Mendy and Alonso dominate, and while it's always going to be a back three, and then you've got those cheap hoppers, Wan-Bissaka, Bennett, Doherty, and Johnny we mentioned. Our teams look very, very settled. It's template, isn't it? I'm afraid.
You look at that team, and you think of all the players Mourinho's like fallen out with in that side. Martial, he's fallen out with.
Shaw, even before now.
Fell out with Shaw.
Yeah.
He's been having problems with Pogba. It just seems to be. Lindelof as well, didn't like him last season. Now suddenly he's back in the team. I don't know. It just seems to me like Mourinho's falling out with everyone, and he's kind of building the side around, putting in players who probably don't really want to play for him. So yeah, it's not really for me.
Yeah, and I think when we saw De Gea's price, that was the end of him, wasn't it? When we saw him priced above, and that ruled out that option as well. Sorry, David, you were saying?
No, I was just saying. I think the only one he hasn't fallen out with, I think, is Lukaku. He seems to love him, and to be fair, he has to because he doesn't really have anyone else like him. So, I mean, Lukaku was the only one that I thought about. I mean, I know obviously I've got Aguero, so I don't want to get rid. That's why I didn't do it. But, over the last 4 game weeks, Lukaku has actually looked pretty good, and he's had more shots on target than Aguero and Salah and Hazard. The only problem is, of course, is that he's one of these players who tends to just maybe get one goal and leaves it at that. But, for anyone who's, I guess, chasing in their sort of position, he's maybe worth looking at because he's not as well owned as some other options. But I think he will still. He'll score over the next couple of weeks. It's just I've not got him because I don't think he's explosive enough. He's kind of the guy that maybe gets 1 or 2 goals at the end of a game. They've already won 2-0. But
it's the Man U striker with under 10% ownership. Normally, everyone kind of flocks to.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is that this time last year. I mean, I think even now he was still in 50% of squads.
Yeah, very true. But the thing is, you can never back when he's going to score heavily, can you? Because you look at he's one of these players who doesn't deliver to the fixture. He's not like Aguero. Aguero so often will deliver a hat-trick when we're expecting it. So much so that there's a lot of talk of triple captaining whenever Aguero's at home to a beatable defence. And often it's paid off. You look at these hat-tricks in the past and they've always been, almost not predictable, that's a difficult thing to say perhaps, but certainly he has stuck to the script in many cases, where Lukaku never does that, does he? And Harry Kane didn't last year either.
No. Yeah, I mean, that's the key. I mean, that's why Aguero is... That's the difference. Lukaku hasn't, in terms of his underlying numbers, looked massively different from that purple patch from last season, but it's just what's around him. Like this time last season, Aguero was... He was 50-50, is he going to play, let alone score? Whereas now that we've got an Aguero who's starting every game, and as you say, is largely scoring when we expect him to, it's hard to justify Lukaku on top of that. So it's more kind of like the landscape around Lukaku that's made him almost a differential at this point.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's round off by talking about this week. We'll go back to your team. What do you predict? I'm 1 point behind. Am I going to catch you? I mean, I've dropped 4 points, so I'm 5 points behind now.
I can't see your team because of the way this stream's
Yeah,
set.
okay.
But,
Well, I've got the double Wolves defence, so you're not going to get me there. I don't think Hennessy's going to do much for me in goal, though. I think Bournemouth are going to score, so I'm just expecting a few save points if I'm lucky out of that. But
Hazard v Mane, I think, is going to be the key.
Yeah,
to keep that on there.
Yeah, that's crucial, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. And so you're going with Mitrovic and Aguero. I've got those two. So it's Wilson versus Fraser as well, isn't it?
Quite exciting, isn't it?
Yeah. So there's a couple of decent matchups there. I fancy Wilson this time round. But I don't think there'll be a lot of goals in that because Palace defence is good. I do see Bournemouth scoring, but I think it'll be a 1-0.
Yeah, 1 or 2-0, something like that.
Yeah, I don't think this is going to be a spectacular scoring game week for any of us looking at our teams, sadly, because I think our teams are very similar. The template is very strong right now. And I think the only difference may be if Richarlison explodes, then David could be in trouble there. I guess that's what you're fearing, David.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm worried about. I think across the board it's going to be a game week that's a little bit underwhelming because I think because loads of people have got loads of Chelsea, Liverpool. I mean, I've got 4 options in that game. Some people have got 5. Some people have even got 6. And while it's hard to call because they're both very attacking but both very defensive, I just feel like that's going to be a 1-1 with like a Matip own goal and a Jorginho goal or something. And then just basically you're just going to get 2 points for all your big players. And then that's just going to leave everybody a little bit short. So if I can get over 50 points, I'll take that.
I've just noticed we've all got double Wolves defence, all 3 of us. So
yeah, I got Patricio.
My God, if Danny Ings scored, there's going to be massive applause from
better not.
Joe at his wedding is going to be running around the church like celebrating Ings' goal, and we're going to be head in hands. 2 clean sheets gone as well. You got Jimenez in there, David. What are you expecting there? You fancy Wolves to score in this game, don't you?
Yeah, I do. He's looked really good the last couple of weeks, and his underlying numbers are good. And it's just about the value and the fixtures all combined, really. The final decision I had to make actually on my wild card was Ings versus Jimenez, and obviously Ings was going to miss that game, and then just the fixtures look nicer for Jimenez. And he even got that assist at Man United, which I wasn't really even expecting. I started him just in case, and I got something out of it. So yeah, I reckon Wolves have just looked really good at home, I think, in the last couple of weeks, and I can see them winning that maybe 2-0.
It's funny because they started slowly, and I had Jota, famously, who still hasn't done anything, but look, he's looking a bit more impressive. But Wolves started slowly, and we were kind of like, oh yeah, what did we expect? It's a promoted team, but then they have been outstanding recent weeks, and defensively the stats are strong, and attacking wise as well, they're really perking up. So I just think that they're a gift to us this season, along with Wan-Bissaka, who's been outstanding. Az, what are you planning on doing next week? Have you got some ideas already? I mean, are you already on that pick team button, forgetting this week and going on to the next one?
Yeah, I'm worried. I've still got my wild card, which is tempting because there's a couple of fixture swing. So Brighton's fixtures get really good, which is always a wild card worthy decision. And Arnautovic I want as well. But then there's Spurs with Cardiff. I haven't got any Spurs players. There's City and Liverpool playing each other. I haven't got Hazard, who's got Southampton away. So there's a few players I'm a bit worried about. So it could be wild card week. If not, it kind of depends on how Mane does tonight. If Mane does all right, I might consider keeping him and sort of just sticking with that. But if he blanks again, then I think he needs to go definitely. And
three blanks in a row for Mane, and people will start selling quite strongly, I'd have thought, particularly if Hazard hints at delivering again. And you've got that. You're not going to save for the international break, then. You're not a big fan of that.
I mean, it's always a bit of a disappointment, isn't it? Everyone kind of does, and everyone does it for the price rises, and then the first week is so slow because no one's making moves, so there isn't many price rises anyway. So I don't know. I think if I'm gonna do it, it'll be ready for next week. If not, then I'll kind of come up with a bit of a plan to bring in some of these players and save it. Not really sure. Tough one.
Yeah. And what about you, David? What have you got planned for next week?
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously I'll have the 2 transfers next week, so I'd like to ideally just use one. I mean, I've been saying to myself all season, I want to get into a position where I'm happy with what I've got, and I can just keep those 2 transfers rolling, and I only use them when I need them. So yeah, I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, I think Spurs worry me, and I'm worried that Richarlison will do really well today, and then I'll want to buy him next week, even though I think we could probably all agree that in the next 4 or 5 game weeks, this will be Richarlison's highest score. So. We'll just see. I mean, Spurs, I think maybe will be my biggest worry, but having 2 transfers to maybe restructure just to get one of their guys in if they look like they're going to fulfil on this promise. That's maybe what I look at, but we'll have to see, really.
Yeah, I wish you wouldn't keep on about Richarlison getting his bigger score today. It's horrible, isn't it? When you have that kind of close call with the captaincy and then you go for the other player, you almost want the player you rejected to do okay, but not go mad, and that's how I feel about it now. I'm looking at Richarlison against Fulham tonight. Well, and I'll take an assist and maybe a bonus point, but I don't really want a brace because that'll be like, the bittersweet feeling.
As long as Aguero does better though, then it's all right. If Aguero gets 5 and Richarlison gets 4,
I suppose so. Yeah,
that's what I'm looking at it.
Scenario. Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for joining us this morning. Joe will be back. He was at a wedding this week, as I said, but he'll be back hosting next week, and I'm sure I'm going to make another appearance soon as well. It's always a pleasure to have you on, of course, David and Az. Thanks for joining us. Let's see if I can go above you tonight. Let's see how it goes.
Exciting.
Okay.
Hope not.
Thanks again, everyone. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. It's good morning and enjoy your game week.